All right, y equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 6 is in standard form, but we could rewrite that in intercept form. If you look, what's a common factor with those three terms? They're all divisible by 2. So we can kick out 2. Now we're going to review factoring here in a little bit, so you don't have to remember this part yet. But remember, when you're factoring, you're looking for numbers that multiply to the last number and add up to the middle. So the multiples of 3 would be 3 and 1, and they add up to 4, but they'd have to both be minus. So we'd have y equals 2, parentheses, x minus 3, times x minus 1. Okay, so now we're ready. So the a in our case is 2. We get that from right here. The p's and q's, it says x minus 3, so that would be positive 3. X minus 1, positive 1. So these are our x-intercepts. So if it crosses at 3, that coordinate would be 3, 0. If it crosses at 1, that would be 1, 0. So the axis of symmetry we talked about earlier, we have to find the middle of 3 and 1, which you could do in your head, but they're going to get more complicated. So we'll say 3 plus 1 divided by 2. You always divide by 2 because we're finding the middle of it. So 3 plus 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So our axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. Now when it says, well, what's the vertex? Here's our x-coordinate of the vertex. To figure out the y, we got to put it into the original formula, or we could even use the standard formula that we started with. But let's use the intercept formula. So y equals 2 parentheses x, which is 2, minus 3 times x, which is 2, minus 1. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2 minus 1 is positive 1. Left to right, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Times 1 is negative 2. So y equals negative 2. So our x was 2. Our y is negative 2. Now, as far as which direction does it open, this is positive. The a is positive, so it's going to open upward. Domain for all of these is all real numbers. So now let's graph it. So we know it crosses at 3, 0, and 1, 0. We know our axis of symmetry is at 2, right in between those. And our vertex is at 2, negative 2, which is down here. So that gives us our shape of our graph. So we went up 2 over 1 both directions. Then usually we'd go up 3 over 1, but we'd have to multiply it by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So from there we'd go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Reflect it to the other side. And we've got our parabola. So then we can figure out the range. The lowest we were ever at was our vertex, which was negative 2. And we know it opens upward, so we know that's the bottom point. So it's the minimum, so we go towards positive infinity. That one was pretty tough. This one we don't have to factor, we can get straight after it. So a is negative 3, which we can tell that opens down then. We know domain for all these is all real numbers. Now if it opens upside down, that means we're going to start at negative infinity for the range, and then we're going to have a maximum point. So we don't know what that is yet, but we'll figure that out. So the p and q, it says x plus 1, so our p could be negative 1. It says x minus 5, so our q is positive 5. So these would be our x-intercepts, negative 1, 0, and 5, 0. For the axis of symmetry, we're going to have to find the middle of negative 1, 0, and 5, 0. So we can do negative 1 plus 5 divided by 2. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So again, we're going to have the axis of symmetry at 2. Right away, we can just take that number, substitute it back in for x to get the y coordinate there. Negative 3 times 2 plus 1 times 2 minus 5. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Times negative 3 is positive 27. Oh boy. So our vertex would be 2, 27. Now that's going to go way off of our graph. So if our graph only went till 10, let's make the y go by 3s. So 27 would be up here, 3 times 9. Let's see, we have a point at negative 1, 0 there. And we have a point at 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will give us our parabola. Now remember, we only scaled the y there. So it doesn't look as stretched as it actually would be if this was a 1-to-1 scale. So our x's were the same, just normal 1-to-1, but we did these by 3 on the y. So we're skipping number 3, because that one I know goes way off the graph. It's like 47 or something. But let's try number 4 here. So A is going to be 1/2, showing it's a compression. P is 6, and Q is 4. The X-intercepts are the P and Q. So 6O and 4O. So let's go ahead and just plot those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know the axis of symmetry is going to be right in the middle of those. What's right in the middle of 4 and 6? Yeah, 5. But let's show the work for it. 6 plus 4 divided by 2. 6 plus 4 is 10. Divided by 2 is 5. So to find the vertex, you just substitute that 5 back in. Y equals 1/2 5 minus 6 minus 5 minus 4. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. Half of negative 1 is negative 1/2 times 1 is negative 1/2. So our vertex would be 5 and negative 0.5. So that shows us our curve. Opens upward because it's positive. Up, domain, negative infinity to positive infinity. Range, we have the lowest value at negative 1/2. And it goes to positive infinity from there. I think we got one more set of problems. Okay, so we're going to try to create the equation out of the graph on this one. So look at the intercepts. It intercepts at negative 6 and negative 3. So those will be our P and Q. Whoops. Negative 6, negative 3. Now, to find A, we're actually going to use the other coordinate they give us. They give us this coordinate, negative 4, negative 6. So the x out of that would be negative 4. The y would be negative 6. So let's chuck this into our intercept equation. So y, which is negative 6, equals A. We don't know A. That's what we're going to figure out. X minus P. So x is negative 4 minus P is negative 6. And then x minus Q. So we solve this. We'll figure out A, and then we can just rewrite our formula. Remember, when you subtract a negative, it becomes positive. So negative 4 plus 6 is 2. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, so negative 6 equals negative 2A. Divided by negative 2, we will get A equals 3. So this one has a stretch of 3. Okay, so now we can drop it in the equation. Y equals A, 3. X minus, our P was negative 6, so instead of minus negative 6, we'll say plus 6. And minus our Q, X plus 3, because it would be minus negative 3. So let's try that again. P and Q are where it cross, X-intercepts. And this one, it crosses at negative 6. Q is at positive 1. And then our other coordinate they give us is 2, negative 2. 2, negative 2. Now, we should get a negative A on this one because it's an upside down parabola. So let's see what we get. Y equals negative 2 equals A times X minus P. X minus Q. Sweet. All right, so that minus negative, make sure you change the plus positive. Negative 2 equals A. 2 plus 6 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. 8 times 1 times A would be 8A. So we will have to divide by 8, and negative 2 over 8 would reduce to negative 1/4. Now we're ready for our equation. Y equals A x minus the P and Q. And P is negative 6, we'll say plus 6. And Q is 1. That's it. That was pretty tricky.